acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Welcome in, Crow listeners. This is Sandro Vargas reporting live from studio with more of your news updates at 3:30. The BC winner for the record $80 million lottery jackpot has been revealed. Justin Simporios from Surrey, BC won the money after correctly guessing all lucky numbers for the May 9 Lotto Max draw. Simporio says his priorities lie in giving back to the community and paying off his sister's medical school debt while helping his mother retire early. Simporios himself quit his job shortly after the reveal and says he's thinking of buying a dream home in Metro Vancouver as his first purchase. BC Lottery Corps says this is the biggest jackpot ever awarded to a single person in Canadian history. After suffering a stroke and undergoing heart surgery, North Vancouver swimmer Rabin Doman is back in the pool. But as Quinlan Curry reports, he's now racing with a different purpose.
Rabin Doman is returning to competition, but he's racing for different reasons than before. After suffering a stroke and undergoing heart surgery, the North Vancouver swimmer says his goals haven't changed, but his mindset has. For years, Doman says he felt pressure to perform for others, family, coaches, even the swimming community. Now, he's focused on what the sport means to him.
Yeah, what does it mean to me? It's giving me the opportunity to see what I'm actually made of when times are tough and things aren't going my way.
With no one left to prove anything to but himself, Doman says he's swimming with more clarity and more purpose than ever. Quinlan Curry, BCIT News.
And now we're joined by Quinlan Curry in studio. Hi, Quinlan. Quinlan, you mentioned that Rabin Doman is still training, but what's changed for him mentally since the stroke and surgery?
So, since having spoken to Rabin, what he told me is, since his health scare, his purpose in the pool has changed significantly. Before, he would race with a pressure from others, his coaches, his swimming peers, his the rest of the entire swimming community. So it's changed. He's definitely doing it now for himself, for his joy and love for the sport.
Right. And what stood out most to you in your conversation with him?
Honestly, just how grounded and how down to earth he is. He was very reflective of his predicament, and he honestly looked at it as a challenge, as a way that he could use this moment to prove who he was as a person. And from that, he's gained more clarity, and he's become, honestly, overall, from his words, a better person.
Right. Well, thanks for joining us, Quinlan. It's been a pleasure. The Kwantlen Market is part of Kwantlen's Sustainable Agriculture and Farm School. Keone Mo gives us more about the market.
The impacts of tariffs on food have already begun to make their mark. Grocery costs have increased 3.2% this year compared to last, according to Stats Canada. Statista projected a 6-person household to spend more than $21,000 on food in 2024. The tariffs imposed by the U.S. are also changing Canadians' shopping habits. Angus Reid Group found 85% of Canadians want to switch from U.S.-made products to Canadian-made. Market manager Naomi Malare says shopping local helps build better community.
It puts a face to the product. You care more about the product. You care more about what goes behind, like the production of it. You care if the workers are actually like getting paid well, being treated properly, and I think that is really necessary for a good economy, a good society.
The market is entirely student-run and operated. Keone Mo, BCIT News.
Premier Scott Moe of the Saskatchewan Party responds to earlier comments made by NDP leader Carla Beck, where she criticized the Premier for blocking her legislature that sought to double the threshold needed to start a public vote on separation.
No, we're not looking to take Saskatchewan people's voice away by making the criteria for. We're talking about this topic today, but it could be any topic in 2 years or 3 years, and people need to have a voice in between elections, or the opportunity to have a voice.
Beck's proposed bill was shot down on the final day of the legislative session. Residents of eastern Manitoba continue to be evacuated from their homes as ongoing wildfires have yet to be contained. The municipality of Lake Dubonnet has experienced the most damage, with a state of emergency being declared for a nearby provincial park. Paul Kachansky, who owns a cabin in the community, describes what he saw earlier in the week.
Just the clouds that were billowing everywhere from the smoke and the water bombers coming over the treetops in coordinated fashion, dropping water was something I never forget.
2 people have been confirmed dead as a result of the wildfire, with officials working on confirming the identities. Donald Trump's tariffs on Ontario have negatively affected its budget today, dragging down projected GDP growth and destabilizing the province's path to balance. A $14.6 billion deficit is projected for the province this year, with Green Party leader Mike Schreiner saying the budget falls on the second biggest crisis affecting Ontarians.
And this budget utterly fails to even attempt to address the housing affordability crisis. Housing starts are at all-time lows. As a matter of fact, housing starts are 20,000 less this year than the anemic projection the government had last fall for this year.
A sizable amount of the budget has been portioned towards stimulating the economy in the face of tariffs, including a $5 billion fund meant for business relief and another $500 million allocated towards a critical minerals processing fund. A council made of forestry industry professionals has been brought together to find balance between health forests and an economically viable industry. The BC government announced the Provincial Forest Advisory Council on Thursday, appointed under the cooperation agreement it has with 2 provincial Green Party members. The council is expected to provide recommendations to support forest ecosystems at the same time as helping the forestry sector. It comes amid a push to save more old-growth trees and a flagging industry as the United States threatens even further levies on Canadian softwood exports. Among the council members are Gary Merkel in the Centre of Indigenous Land Stewardship at the University of BC, Shannon Jansen, the former Vice President of Western Forest Products, Jason Fisher of the Forest Enhancement Society of BC, and Jeff Bromley with the United Steelworkers Wood Council. As U.S. President Donald Trump prepares to leave the Mideast region following his 4-day trip visiting Gulf leaders, he stops in the United Arab Emirates to meet with the country's president.
It's an honor to be here, and the last 4 days have been really amazing. I think they've been amazing, but it shows you where our country can go.
UAE leader Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan honored Trump with the Order of Zayed, the highest decoration in Abu Dhabi, the country's capital. An audit into Maryland autopsies reveals at least 36 in-custody police deaths that should have been considered homicides. State officials announced their findings today following a comprehensive review of cases brought back into public interest due to widespread concerns from statements said by the former state medical examiner. One such statement saw the examiner, Dr. Fowler, previously testify that George Floyd's death was due to a sudden heart rhythm disturbance as a result of his heart disease. Investigators focused on 87 autopsies performed by Dr. Fowler over the course of his tenure. They uncovered a 41% misclassification rate. Canada's oldest company is being sold today to none other than corporate giant Canadian Tire. Canadian Tire says it's willing to strike a $30 million deal to acquire Hudson's Bay, which has been around since 1670. The sale includes the overarching Hudson's Bay brand, its iconic multicolored stripes motif, its coat of arms, and other brand trademarks. The deal allows for Hudson Bay's trademarked items to be sold by Canadian Tire, which also owns Sport Chek, Party City, and Marks, among other brands. The sale is currently waiting court approval. And now we switch to your weather report. We've got mild to light rain from the afternoon to the end of today, and an average temperature of 9 degrees throughout. Expect the rest of the week to look cloudy with showers up until Sunday, where we get a break of sun, a slight chance for mild rain, and an average of about 14 degrees. That's all for your news updates today. This is Sandro Vargas, and you've been listening to The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore.
Welcome to BCIT's The Crow. I'm Braden Coombs, and here's your 3:45 sports headlines. We start off with baseball. The Vancouver Canadians are facing off against the Everett Aqua Sox tonight at 7 p.m. The Canadians have won the first 2 games of this series and will look to turn their streak into 3 games in a row. Grant Rogers is expected to get the nod at starting pitcher. The 6'7" right-hander is 3-0 so far this season with a 1.54 ERA. The Toronto Blue Jays game just wrapped up. They fell short to the Tampa Bay Rays, losing by a score of 8-3. The Blue Jays hit 3 solo home runs, including one from star first baseman Vladimir Guerrero Jr., but they could not muster any other runs. Starting pitcher Kevin Gausman threw nearly 6 innings with 6 earned runs against. With the victory, the Rays win the quick 3-game series 2-1, and the Jays fall to a record of 21-21. Canucks general manager Patrick Allvin and new head coach Adam Foote addressed the media at 11 a.m. today. This was a press conference to introduce the new head coach hiring. Foote talked about his relationship with former head coach Rick Tocchet during the conference.
Patrick asked me probably a year and a half ago, and Rick said to me, if you really want to be a head coach, I'll help you. And that's what I love about Rick. He really wanted, when I told him a year ago, I think I want to do this, he really wanted it for me. And we had a great conversation yesterday. I wasn't sure what was going to happen in this process, where I would be. And he is so happy for me, and I was so happy and lucky that I was under him.
Now onto the ice. There's 2 teams facing elimination tonight. The Winnipeg Jets will try to avoid elimination as they take on the Dallas Stars at 6:30 p.m. The Stars are currently up 3-1 in the 7-game series and will be looking to move on to the Western Conference Final. In preparation, the Jets will be making a few adjustments to their lineup, including healthy scratching defenseman Colin Miller. Jets head coach Scott Arniel believes playing the game the right way is the key to victory.
You know, those guys, when they roll out there tonight, we talked about, tonight it's about straight line, simple hockey, play the way we can play, and it'll help. It'll help with obviously the nerves. It helps a little bit with, we're not worrying about the end result. We're going to get out and play the game, and we got to play the game and have familiarity with lines. That certainly helps.
The winner of this series is set to take on the Edmonton Oilers in the next round. Across the border, the Carolina Hurricanes are also looking to advance to the conference final when they take on the Washington Capitals. The game is slated to start at 4 p.m. as the Capitals will look to keep their playoff hopes alive. The Hurricanes will be rolling out a very similar lineup to their Game 3 nights ago when they won 5-2. With a win tonight, the Canes will be the first Eastern Conference team to advance to the 3rd round. Former Vancouver Canucks player Sam Gagner has officially announced his retirement from the NHL at the age of 35. Gagner played over 1,000 career NHL games, including 2 of those seasons were with the Canucks, were from 2019 to 2017, where he scored 34 points for the franchise. The Canadian will stay in the NHL, becoming the Director of Player Development for the Ottawa Senators. There's only one game on the basketball schedule tonight. The Oklahoma City Thunder will look to finish off their series against the Denver Nuggets at 5:30 p.m. Canadian guards Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jamal Murray are both slated to start. With a win tonight, the Thunder will eliminate the Nuggets and win their series 4-2. The Minnesota Timberwolves will be awaiting the winner of this series in the Western Conference Final. Barcelona have officially won the La Liga. This comes after their crucial 2-0 win against Spanish side Espanyol today. Lamine Yamal led the way with a goal and an assist, giving himself the man of the match. With the win, Barcelona is now 7 points ahead for the top spot in the league with 2 games remaining. Real Madrid set 7 points back, and it is now mathematically impossible for them to catch up. The PGA Tour started its opening round today in North Carolina at Quail Hollow Golf Club. All eyes were on Rory McIlroy following his historic Grand Slam win at the Masters. The current leader as of now is American Ryan Gerard, who is at 5 under par. The next round is set to start tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Thank you for listening to BCIT's The Crow. I'm Braden Coombs, and that was your 345 Sports Headlines.
Stay tuned tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.